Something strange happens on retreat. And when people get home, they often feel like they have been gone for a month. So what is going on? Why does time seem to expand when we step away from our everyday lives? Today, we are exploring what I call the retreat time effect and why it might be one of the reasons people keep coming back. Hello, dreamers, believers, and bucket list retreaters. Welcome back to Bucket List Retreats, the podcast. I'm your hostess, Kelly Morgan Murley. And if you are new here, welcome. This is the place we talk all about retreats, why they matter, why they change us, and why so many people find themselves returning again and again. I hope you have had a fabulous week. I wanted to talk to you about last week's episode. We had a bit of a disaster on YouTube. The Spotify audio version came out beautifully, so please check it out if you'd like to. But the YouTube file was corrupt in some way. We couldn't seem to figure it out, but we're super grateful that the Spotify audio version is still fine. And it's up on Spotify, of course, link in the description. But this week we are going to take extra efforts to make sure that we get the YouTube file perfect and up online for you as well, just in case you want to see the person that's talking to you. That was a bit of a dilemma, and I was so bummed out because I had Azaya Vega join us for a short, benediction, a prayer, a intention for our beautiful world as we go through some hard times here lately, even worldwide. So Azaya, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Jump back to last week if you do want to hear her special prayer. But the big news this week is that her and I have finally nailed down a date next week, and she will be the featured guest here on Bucket List Retreats, the podcast. Azaya has such an interesting life. Anyone would be interested to hear all about it. A former Mrs. American, but her and her husband, Revan, I'll put links to their podcast below, recently purchased that beautiful retreat center I have been talking about down in the Dominican Republic that I got to visit in December. It's an absolutely beautiful glamping experience, if you will, because each room, the one wall is open to the jungle. It is so beautiful and magnificent, especially when it rains, like mostly in the evenings is when we had rain in December. It really wasn't that much, but it was just absolutely fantastic. Great food, tons of greenery, of course, because you're right in the jungle, up against a beautiful beach. So it's amazing. You kind of have both worlds, the mountains and the jungle. We will talk all about their retreat center and about the sacred plant medicine that you can utilize down there at their facility or not. It really doesn't matter if you want to use that. So we are so excited for next week and hope that you will join us, because that is one of the places where I definitely felt what we were talking about here on today's episode. And that is how the timing on retreat feels so much longer than your everydays do. On retreat, your week suddenly feels longer. Your days are more fuller. Moments seem richer. And like I mentioned in the open, people often return home and feel like they've been gone for a month. They have made so much transformation. They can't imagine how they got that all done on a 7-day retreat. So what is going on? Why does time feel like it expands when you step away from everyday life? Let's take a moment to look and see what is happening out there in the world of retreats. This is the part of the show that we share pieces of retreat news and reviews, things we're seeing, trends we're noticing, and a few things that caught my eye this week. because retreats are growing and popping up into some pretty interesting places. So let's take a look first at what's happening in retreat news. Okay, this YouTube short really caught my eye, and it's funny because the retreat I'm going to talk about is in Australia, and this is mainly about flying to and from Australia. Let's check it out.
This is the coziest I've ever been on a flight. This is called Sky Couch. Instead of buying one seat, I bought 3 of them, which is what the Sky Couch is. All of these seats create a sofa-like experience. This is not sponsored. I just wanted to try this out on my 14-hour flight from Auckland to Los Angeles. I was a little skeptical because it did cost $1,000 to upgrade. However, for the journalistic integrity of this page, I had to test it out for you guys. Once we were in the air, I set up my bed. They gave me a mattress and 2 big fluffy pillows. Okay, these are huge. I've been on a few business class flights before, and the width of this Sky Couch is wider than most business first class seats. I do realize this was a very expensive upgrade. However, most lie flat seats on flights are like minimum $5K. I did some work on the first leg of the plane and it was comfy. I'm not gonna lie. It's a little awkward though because the people in front of you can just fully look into your Sky Couch. Like I was just fully sprawled out and people could just be like, what the hell? Why does she have all 3 seats? But I haven't even talked about the food. So the Sky Couch is exclusive to Air New Zealand and the food on this flight was immaculate. I honestly am so pissed that not more airlines have this Sky Couch experience. Like I don't really care about the food on business class, but I do care about getting a good night's sleep. And apparently this is marketed towards families so you could like sleep with your toddler. And in fact, after I ate, I did sleep like a mother baby. Comment below if you would try economy Sky Couch.
How many times do you get a row to yourself? Or I know if you ever get a row to yourself, you're just like, sweet. So yeah, I can see how that would be totally, I think it's pretty much worth it, especially if you get a good deal and they let you upgrade for $1,000 because tickets are often, a first class lay down seat or a business class lay down seats are like $4,000 or $5,000. So that is my number one reason for having miles is for long haul flights. And what I consider a long haul flight is anything over 6 hours. I use my miles for these long haul flights to get into at least business class. I will not use my miles for anything less than 6 hours. No how, no way. That is just a little something I had to show you. But also today in Retreat News, I ran across this article. This article just came out March 9th, 2026. Here's the future and past of Cache Valley's most infamously haunted retreat. A haunted retreat. I should have used this for Halloween, right? But it just came out and I thought it sounded really interesting because we have been finding so many new retreat centers that have been born from their own stories. Let's listen in here the story about this new Cache Valley retreat.
When Cameron Jensen first saw the abandoned buildings that sit beyond the mouth of Logan Canyon, he was unaware of their disturbing lore.
I didn't know the boogeyman was here.
No one told him they were supposedly home to the sinister soul of a vicious head nun. He didn't know of the ghastly Dobermans that, as legend put it, patrol the area with red eyes aglow. When he explored the property for the first time in August, all he knew of the dilapidated, eroding structures was their detailed woodwork, hand-laid stone walls, and staples of dated luxury, now plastered with spray-painted graffiti and covered in rat feces. The beautiful summer trees watched over his visit, and the melodious Logan River played a peaceful, rushing tune through the site. He was sold.
I saw it for what it was. I got it under contract. Then I saw the history.
Jensen, a Saratoga Springs real estate developer, is dead set on restoring these buildings that became a magnet for teenage mischief to their ritzy roots by opening a resort, complete with a coffee shop, Pilates studio, and spa. Only after he told his wife, Carly, that he was in the process of buying the buildings did he learn of their haunted tales through Carly's internet sleuthing.
She audibly gasped. And I was like, what? And she's like, do you realize that babies were drowned in that pool?
Babies, of course, were not drowned in that pool. As Jensen started researching the real history of the buildings, which sit on a plot of U.S. Forest Service land, it started to make sense to him why no expense was spared in their construction. The property started with a single-family cabin retreat and evolved under one of the richest men in Depression-era America. After Hezekiah Eastman Hatch put up the first building in 1915, his son, Lorenzo Boyd Hatch, and Lorenzo's brother-in-law, Floyd B. Oldham, expanded the complex, adding several houses, a pool, and other amenities, according to documents submitted to the National Register of Historic Places.
Odlum is known as the only person in the world that made a fortune out of the Great Depression. He had lodges and properties all over the world, and Hatches were obviously extremely wealthy too.
Records show that while under Hatch and Odlum ownership, the Logan Canyon property hosted famous actors, politicians, and other accomplished people. Among them was pilot Jacqueline Cochran, Odlum's second wife, who was the first woman to break the sound barrier.
It's rumored that Marilyn Monroe stayed in these ones. Joan Crawford, which is before my time, I don't even know who that is, but she's someone really famous. That's who's staying here.
In 1950, the families donated the complex to the Roman Catholic Diocese of Salt Lake City. The church renamed the property from Hatch's Camp to St. Anne's Retreat and used it as a nun's retreat and youth camp for years before the buildings fell into disrepair and were eventually sold in 1990. Since then, they've changed hands multiple times, but have not seen any significant improvements. The cluster of buildings became known locally as the Nunnery. Lisa Gabbard, the director of Utah State University's folklore program, explained that it was while the camp was in the church's hands that dark rumors about the place began to flourish in the community.
The Catholic Church and I would say Cache Valley were both very closed kind of societies. So of course people are going to be curious. Like, what is a nun? What do nuns do? Those kinds of stories about nuns having babies and committing essentially infanticide, killing babies, are actually ancient.
The Cache Valley community readily filled knowledge gaps with fanciful tales of what could be lurking some 8 miles into the canyon. And Gabbard said it became common for people to explore the property in search of malevolent spirits. Jason Watson, who grew up in Tremont, became curious about the place while attending USU. One rainy night, sometime around 1991, he visited the retreat with his friends. Many in the group, he recalled, were initially unconcerned or intent on making fun of people who grew scared.
We went up. I was pretty blasé about it.
But on that drizzly dark evening, what started as curiosity grew to a fever pitch of terror when his group stumbled upon the Hatch Children's Playhouse and found miniature dishware in its cupboards.
There was something just kind of inherently creepy about this abandoned space, being in this really dark, abandoned space just freaked us all out. I mean, once we got there, everybody stopped pretending that they weren't scared, including me.
Jensen, who stayed alone at the property overnight, said he has yet to have any paranormal encounters. The buildings are, however, still haunted by curious teenagers looking for ghosts. These days, though, they are more likely to find the alarms Jensen has set around the complex. As he juggles historic preservation rules on U.S. Forest Service land, Jensen's also balancing the cultural significance of the building's fables with the desire to give the retreat new life.
I learned how passionate people are in their opinions on the place. Some people are like, don't touch it, keep it haunted. But I'm not going to base the history of this place and the beauty of this place on a few passionate folks.
Jensen plans to open his resort next year. He's already replaced a bridge over the Logan River and rebuilt several of the building's roofs. For the next 3 months, he has to pause construction to compile a historic report to ensure he restores the property in line with regulatory guidelines. With Utah Public Radio, I'm Brock Marchant.
I love these people that are getting these old locations and bringing them back to beautiful retreat centers. I just think it is fantastic, and I applaud you guys out there for doing that. So what do you think? Do you think this would turn out to be a really cool retreat center? I think with the beautiful buildings that are already there, getting redone, it would be fantastic. There are just parts of Utah that are unmatched, so beautiful. So I really enjoyed learning all about this new retreat center, really not too far away from where I'm at. All right, we are going to go on to retreat reviews. Now, today's retreat that we are reviewing, I found in Retreat News while we were doing research there. It's a wild story. It just got more interesting as we went on, but let's check it out. Okay, just published March 10th, 2026 by Madison E. Goldberg in People magazine at people.com. Meghan Markle to join Girls' Weekend retreat in Sydney during Australia visit with Prince Harry. Meghan Markle at a retreat. Now, I don't know. Are we calling her Meghan Markle or Meghan Duchess of Sussex? But let's see what they are talking about. Meghan Markle will join a Girls' Weekend retreat for her Best Life podcast in Australia. Meghan will visit Australia with Prince Harry in April, and the retreat is taking place from April 17th to April 19th. The event will include a gala dinner featuring a conversation with Meghan. Oh my gosh. Now, would that be something that would interest you, that would pique your curiosity, that would make you want to go more than wanting to go in the first place, that you knew Meghan Markle was going to be there? And I have looked ahead. You can pay the VIP and get even up closer to her. So this event, which will be held from April 17th to April 19th at the Intercontinental Sydney Koji Beach, will include meaningful speakers and a gala dinner featuring in-person conversation with Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, described as an intimate gala like no other in the press release. Her Best Life co-hosts Jackie Henderson and Gemma O'Neill outline Meghan's role for the upcoming podcast retreat in their Tuesday, March 10th episode. Well, of course, I had to jump over to that episode and see what they were talking about.
Living my best life, living my best life.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Her Best Life. I am Gemma. Thank you so much for listening. Look, guys, it's been a big week. I think that's the best way I can summarize it. But if you listen in Australia, you'll probably understand what I'm referring to there. And it is to do with my bestie, Jackie. And I guess I just wanted to say that I'm not going to talk about that at all because it's Jackie's story to tell. It's not my story to tell. I'm very respectful of that. Also, Jackie's released a statement saying that it's going through a legal process, which also means that it can't be spoken about. And I guess I just didn't want you guys to think that I'm being cagey or I'm not talking about something that seems like it's so obviously been a part of my week. It obviously has been a very big week, but hopefully you guys can respect and understand that, it's not for me to talk about, and hopefully you guys can forgive me for that. But I did want to talk about something else today that is very exciting. And it's something that I've been working on for a few months now. And it just so happens that it was always going to be this week that I was going to get to finally tell you guys about it. Because I feel like I've been keeping this exciting secret from you guys, working on it in the background. And I've been desperate to tell you about it. So we're finally here. So what I wanted to announce today is that we are doing a Her Best Life retreat for a weekend coming up towards the middle of April, around there, sorry. I think it's the 17th of April, that weekend. And we are going to have a whole heap of fun activities at that weekend and guest speakers. Now, anyone who's listening that came to the last one will know how much fun it was. I will admit, I think I had a pretty sore head on the Sunday morning because there was hundreds of women on the dance floor on the Saturday night. We had so much fun together across that weekend. It was down in the Southern Highlands, and shout out to those OGs who came to that weekend retreat. But we're doing another one of those, and this time it is going to be in Sydney, and it's going to be at the Intercontinental Hotel at Coogee. Now, this hotel is brand new. It's on the beach. It's stunning. I promise you, I've done a number of site checks now to make sure that it's right for our group. But I'm really excited that we're going to be doing another retreat. There's going to be plenty of guest speakers. We're also going to have a session from Dr. Corrie, who's obviously our incredible women's psychologist that you guys have heard on the podcast before. I might have even been convinced to do a manifestation and meditation session. So if, anyone is interested in that, even if there's one of you that turns up for that, I'm happy to do that too. We've got a DJ and a disco. There's drinks by the pool. It is the ultimate girls' weekend, but it's the ultimate Her Best Life girls' weekend, because what it's going to be is all the things that this community is about, which is, fun, inclusive, kind. And I guess one of the reasons why I'm really excited about it is every time we've done an event, even when we did our fundraiser event at the Clovelly Hotel last year, what has been amazing, even when it was Jackie and I still together, and obviously now me continuing solo, is seeing how much this community comes together and has so much fun and really creates strong connections. Because I know there's a lot of women who came to the last events that are all still friends and catch up with each other because we hear about it and we love that. So that's very exciting. And so one of the speakers that will be joining us in person on the weekend, I am like beside myself about, because I have admired this woman and what she has endured, how she's risen above it, and how she has demonstrated how a woman can be pushed down and she can still rise. And that person is Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. And I can't believe I'm even saying those words. There's no one more shocked than me, because I know what you're all thinking, because I'm thinking the same thing, which is, how has Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, this incredible woman, gone from Oprah to talking on stage with just little old me, Gemma, in Sydney?
Okay, little did I know that when I clicked on that there would be drama included in this retreat. I absolutely do not like to gossip, but Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, seems to be a worldwide thing that we all discuss. Poor thing. Our own beautiful American princess. Okay, I think there is much more drama surrounding this than I could even begin to understand. So maybe if you're an Aussie, you can tell us what is going on in the comments. But apparently there is these two gals, Jackie Henderson and Gemma O'Neill, that run the podcast Her Best Life. Great title. I just think it's fantastic. I can only imagine all of the great things that they talk about. And I will be tuning in. But apparently, Jackie Henderson had a radio show with another person named Kyle. And she quit working with that person and started working with her BFF, Gemma O'Neill, in 2022. And it caused some big disturbance or something. And Jackie Henderson is also some sort of a TV personality. So please forgive my ignorance that I don't know who these lovely ladies are. But apparently there's been all kinds of drama going on around Jennifer. And Jennifer has opted not to come to the retreat with Meghan Markle. And so several of the things that I saw said that she was snubbing Meghan Markle. So there is the tea. But let's go ahead and check out this retreat, shall we? Yes, it has a beautiful picture of Meghan front and center at herbestlife.org. I will put a link in our description for the show notes. And while you're down there, go ahead and hit subscribe so you'll be notified of next week's episode when it comes out here on YouTube. Or if you're listening on Spotify, click the follow show. We would really appreciate that. It really helps out our show. But here we are with Meghan Markle looking beautiful. It says Her Best Life Retreat with Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. And it gives the date and the place, which we talked about a minute ago. A girls' weekend like no other, an unforgettable weekend for women ready to reconnect, recharge, and have some serious fun. Join us on an intimate luxury weekend by the ocean, designed to bring women together for powerful conversations, relaxation, laughter, and unforgettable experiences. Set at the stunning intercontinental Koji Beach, this exclusive retreat brings Her Best Life community to life through inspiring speakers, meaningful connection, and plenty of time to unwind and celebrate. The highlight of the weekend will be an in-person conversation with Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, is a mother, wife, entrepreneur, and humanitarian. Recognized by Time and Vogue as one of the world's most influential women, Meghan remains a dedicated champion of mental health and the rights of women and girls. A Northwestern University alumni, she starred in the hit series Suits for 7 seasons while serving as a UN Women's advocate, and World Vision Global Ambassador. Since marrying Prince Harry in 2018, she co-founded Archwell Philanthropics and Archwell Productions. Her media ventures include record-breaking podcast Archetypes, and the 2025 globally celebrated Netflix series With Love, Meghan. A New York Times bestselling author, she also founded the lifestyle brand As Ever, inspired by her love language, thoughtful and inspired hospitality, hostessing, and gift giving. Okay, that's all we need to know about Meghan. It goes on to tell you the truth. We want to know what is going on at the retreat. Across the weekend, you'll also enjoy a powerful women's psychology session with renowned psychologist Dr. Justine Corey, yoga, sound healing time by the pool, lunch, beautiful dinners, and a dance floor disco night with an incredible group of women. This is your chance to step away from everyday life and spend a weekend focusing on connection, growth, joy, and celebration. Come by yourself, come with your best friend, or bring a whole group of your favorite women. What to expect? A gala dinner, an in-person conversation with Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, a powerful women's session with renowned psychologist Dr. Justine Corey, meditation and manifestation sessions with Gemma, yoga sessions to start the day, a beautiful sound healing experience, relax time by the pool overlooking Koji Beach, dinner and disco celebration, inspiring conversations, and unforgettable connections with an incredible group of women. Your ticket includes everything you need for a beautiful, relaxing, and inspired weekend. 2 nights luxury accommodation, twin share at the brand new Intercontinental Sydney Koji Beach. The gala dinner, including all alcohol, dinner and disco celebration, including all alcohol, Saturday lunch, breakfast on both mornings, access to all speaker sessions, experience and wellness activities throughout the weekend. Plenty of time to relax, connect, and enjoy the stunning coastal settings. Plenty of time in a weekend? I don't know about that, folks. Ticket options. Early bird, $2,699 per person twin share. A limited number of early bird tickets are available before general release. And then there is the VIP experience. $3,199 per person, also a twin share. Limited VIP tickets include seating at a table in front 2 rows for the gala dinner with Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, group table photo with Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, an exclusive VIP goodie bag, a premium ocean view hotel, twin share, all weekend inclusions. Now, who would want? I mean, I couldn't leave without a group table photo with Meghan. Actually, that is something I'm going to put on the list. That's a good idea for any retreat, don't you think? All tickets include the full weekend experience. You can register your interest for this event. This intimate weekend is limited to just 300 people. I don't know how intimate that conversation with Meghan is going to be, but hey. Priority access opens for her best life community first. So I think they had this retreat last year and they are having it again this year. But if you are hoping to see both of the podcast hosts there, only one of the podcast hosts, Gemma O'Neill, is going to be at the retreat. I would love to know what you all think about this retreat. And you know me. I hate calling a weekend getaway a weekend retreat. 2 days is hardly enough. You deserve so much more than 2 days. I love a 7 to 10 day retreat at the bare minimum. It takes 2 days to get out of your head, in my personal opinion. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't pay and go to this retreat. It sounds like a lot of fun and like they've really got the time mapped out well. Those 2 dinners sound like they are really going to knock those out of the park. And while it is expensive for just a weekend, I mean, a lot of 7-day retreats are that same price. Of course, you're missing Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. And I hate to sound like I'm ragging on her because actually I've been a big, huge fan of hers since she first stepped in front of my vision. I'm sorry, I don't watch much TV, so I never saw her show Suits, although I think I would like it. But it has always broke my heart that they don't get along with William and Catherine. Just how amazing it would be if the 4 of them were just really having a great time in this life. So I just think that is really a sad situation all the way around. If I were Meghan, I would go to Catherine and beg her forgiveness. I think Catherine is sweet enough to give it. So really, if I was going on retreat to step away from my life, I doubt very much I would want to step into her life. But if you are a huge fan of this podcast, like I am of My Favorite Murder, I would go on their retreat. Even if it was packed with things to do, I would just ignore the fact that they're calling it a retreat. And with that, let's come back to today's topic, the retreat time effect. And if you've ever been on retreat, you have probably felt it, where the days just feel so rich and so full, just completely different from your everyday life. People often come back from retreat saying things like, I can't believe how much we experienced in just 1 week. I feel like I've done so much and I've been gone so long and I have grown so much. How could that happen in just 1 week? So why does the time feel so different on retreat? Today, I want to explore 3 different reasons why this happens on retreat. And once you see them, you will start noticing this pattern pretty much on any retreat you go on. The first reason is obvious and the most simple one. It is simply stepping out of our daily life, out of our daily routine. When we are at home, almost every day is exactly the same. You could almost walk through your day blindfolded and be able to do all of the things that you do on a regular basis. We wake up, we follow the same routines, we drive the same roads, we go through the same environments. And because our brains know already what to expect, they kind of go into an autopilot mode. But retreats break that pattern. Suddenly you're in a new place. You're meeting new people, you're trying new activities, you're seeing new scenery, and that's when you notice your brain is waking up. It is starting to taste and feel all of these new things and noticing everything again. When that happens, your mind records memories. And when you have more memories, time feels fuller and longer. Second reason is presence. Retreats create space for us to actually slow down and pay attention. At home, our attention is constantly divided, like we talk about all the time. Phone, work, home, families, responsibilities, schedules. But on retreat, those distractions often fall away. Suddenly, you are watching a beautiful sunrise with a cup of coffee, and you're discussing it in a meaningful conversation with new people. You're taking solitary walks in a beautiful new forest or along a golden beach. And when we're fully present in moments like this, time doesn't just rush by like it normally does. Instead, we actually experience the moment as it happens. Does that resonate with you? Please take a moment to hit the like button if you're enjoying the retreat discussion. I love how being present stretches the perception of time. The third reason might be the most powerful. Retreats tend to be emotionally and sensorily rich experiences. There is nothing blasé about it. You might be laughing with friends, trying incredible new foods, learning something meaningful, or seeing breathtaking places or phenomena. That reminds me completely of when we were in Bali and we went to that cave along the beach that right at sunset, hundreds of thousands of bats came out of the cave. It was an experience that happens every single night, but it was the one time I was there to see it. And it was such a cool experience. And I am not a bat lover by any means, but yeah, that was a sensory experience that really had us flying high right along with those bats. Such a beautiful place there in Bali. All of those type of experience create emotional markers in our memory. That memory is an emotional marker for me, and I will never forget it. And one of the reasons is because that emotional marker made time stand still. It made it feel bigger. It gave me an experience of a lifetime. And that is why when people come home from retreat, they often feel like they have lived through weeks of meaningful moments, even if they were gone for just a few days. So when people say that being on retreat felt like they were gone for so much longer than they really were, they are not just imagining it. They experienced more in that time, grew so much more, lived so much more, and loved so much more. They are not just imagining it. And what they are really describing is what I have coined the retreat time effect. And in a world where time feels rushed and repetitive, that shift in time may be one of the most powerful gifts you get from going on retreat. So maybe that is the magic of retreats. They don't actually give us more time. They simply help us experience our time more fully. And when we are able to step out of routine, become more present, and fill our days with memorable moments, with meaningful moments, time has a way of expanding in the most beautiful way. If this episode made you curious about retreats or reminded you of one you have already experienced, then you are beginning to understand the retreat time effect. Like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, we are so excited to have Azaya Vega join us next week to talk all about her life and how her and her husband ended up buying this gorgeous retreat center down in the Dominican Republic that we are going to invite all of you to. You can check out the preview at bucketlistretreats.com/Dominican Republic. Or, of course, I will put a link in the show description. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We are so happy to have you here talking all about retreats with us. Keep retreating, keep exploring, and we will see you on the next adventure. Bye-bye.